Hi there. In this video, we'll discuss about multi-class classification. And if you are wondering where I have been for 2 months, I have not posted any video after binary classification. I've been busy on my other projects. So, nevertheless, here I am. And there are a few announcements to be made. First, there's a Telegram channel that has been dedicated to QuickML, not QuickML, basically any computer vision enthusiast. And the channel has a lot of subscribers. People are there from different parts of the world, be it North America, be it South America, be it India, be it Europe, and I mean borders are no limits. With the help of internet, people are connecting, people are sharing. You can share your ideas, you can share your doubts, you can share your concepts, you can share any interesting article, anything. Just just abide by the guidelines of the Telegram channel, else everything is good. Another announcement is we are conducting quite many events. Quite we are conducting events which shall serve as a fundraiser. Funds are needed to carry out some necessary cost, which will be entirely dedicated to QuickML. Nothing will be mine. Nothing will be somebody else. Your funds will be, if you want to disclose that you donated, that's good. We'll post it on the list. If you don't want to, if you want to conceal your identity, that will also be taken care of. So that we are conducting events, and events shall be a fundraiser. The links will be posted down there, and if you go over the website, there's a blog. In the blog we'll update about events. So any event, there will be event, there will always be an event. So usually in the mid of the month or at the end of the month, we'll be conducting some events, and the events shall be a fundraiser to carry out some necessary costs. And if the funds collected are quite sufficient, we'll conduct some Kaggle competitions. The Kaggle competitions, I mean, those will be quite interesting. So we'll conduct some Kaggle competition between our small community. What I'm simply trying to do, I'm delivering to the community to make a better community out of it and be a part of it. Why not? I mean, there's everything good in it. So that shall be it. So if the funds collected are sufficient, I'll conduct a Kaggle competition, and the 22.5% of whatever is collected shall be distributed back in the form of prizes. First prize will get 10%, second prize will get 7.5%, third prize will get 5%, and that's good. That's good. So let's dive in. That was the announcement, necessary announcement. Let's dive in. Today's topic is multi-class classification. So multi-class classification is something that you usually use, definitely use, and quite regularly use, be it medical field, be it any field. So initially, what was the last video? Last video was about binary classification. You have one class, you have other class. So it is a problem of class A or it's a problem of class B. Now, in multi-class classification, we dive into a bit deeper aspect. So, binary class was, it belongs to class A and it does not belong to class A. Now, it does not belong to class A, and if it belongs to class A, how much? Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So this is it. So is it an animal or it is not an animal? If it is an animal, what kind of animal? So you are refining, you're polishing your search, your analysis, your model, everything. So let's dive in. So I'll be using Kaggle as usual. So here are some changes which have been brought. You can check over here the introductory slides. And for joining the Telegram channel, you need to fill up this form. This form shall prevent me from adding some unauthenticated users which are there to spam, also just making the group a better place. So you just fill in the form, I'll check the form, and if it seems genuine, I'll definitely, there's no point of rejecting the form. The second update is the slides. So you can go over here, see the slides. These slides are an overview, a quick guideline of how you can get started with QuickML. So it is a very brief and to the point presentation wherein, let's say today's topic is multi-class classification. So what do you need to do for multi-class classification? You simply get your model. Then what you do is define the TPU strategy, define the other required parameters, define the model under strategy or scope, and begin the model training. As simple as that. What it does is simplifies the workflow. It does not simplify the workflow, it just replicates your mental workflow to the physical workflow. What the idea behind was, if I am given a task, I have something running in the back of my mind. So I try to replicate the same for you. So if you are given a task, you certainly have something on top of your head, like I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. So there's a sequence you intend to follow. However, the sequence has many intermediary steps. So I just cut that down. Just focus on the experimentation. Don't need to bother. You do need not to bother about the unnecessary coding that has been taken care of, along with speed optimizations. As of that, that's something you must have got the hang of by now. So let's begin. Let's jump into a practical example. Let's name it Quick ML multi-class classification. So the dataset I'll be using is a dataset I'm currently working on. This dataset is IUCN Animal Species TF Records. Now IUCN you must have heard of. This is something related to wildlife, their protection. It's a very huge and reputed organization. So a few species of that. I have not added the validation dataset that will be updated, but we can just begin training with the training dataset only. Validation dataset can be added later on. You need validation dataset only when your training data exceeds 95 or 93, 92% accuracy. If your training dataset is not achieving, if your model is not achieving 92% accuracy on the training dataset, why do you need validation dataset? Validation dataset is needed to validate that your model is not overfitting, but your model is not even fitting. Then why do you need validation dataset? So you need validation dataset only when your model is overfitting. So don't waste a huge chunk of your data on validating. First take the whole dataset. Ideally, you should take the whole dataset. If your model is performing exceptionally good, then take in the validation dataset. Then divide, then separate the dataset. If not, first you need to have a good training accuracy. If your training accuracy, training loss is not significant, is not appreciable, don't waste a part of your data on validation dataset. As simple as that. So let's begin. Pip install -q QuickML. Now the necessary imports. First the TensorFlow, then QuickML. So we are done with the first step. Get the QuickML by pip install and import the necessary. Now let us define the TPU strategy. The second step, define TPU strategy. For defining the TPU strategy, what do we have? Go to the documentation, begin working with TPU. In begin working with TPU, you get this. And you're done. And you're done with the begin working with TPU part. Now comes the major part. This is the only major part. You'll have to write something else. There's nothing to write. All is your mental thinking, your experimentation, your concepts, your knowledge of what to implement and when to implement. So this is what it requires, is defining the necessary parameters. So let's define the necessary parameters. Define the parameters. What all parameters do we need? We need the GCS DS path. Yep. We did not activate the TPU. Let's activate the TPU. and rerun everything above it. Run everything before. Now, what we need is GCS path, we need to define epochs, we need to define batch size, as well as we need something known as steps per epoch. Steps per epoch will be obtained only after you get to know the number of samples which are present in the training dataset, but we do not know the number of samples which are present in the training dataset until and unless we read the training dataset. So in between is the step of define labeled format as well as get the train dataset. So to get the GCS path, there's nothing new. There's Kaggle datasets. From Kaggle datasets, import Kaggle dataset. Yep. Call the function, call the get GCS path. As of now, you have only one dataset, so you can simply pass it as a blank parameter, so it will fetch it on its own. However, it's not a good practice because when you will have multiple datasets and you have multiple datasets happening, so it's a good practice to copy the path, paste it over here. Now this is the local path which is present on the Kaggle, right, which is present on the Kaggle server. Now there's another happening on the Google Cloud, that is the TPU server. So this Kaggle makes a connect with the TPU. So for that you need to remove the part which is beyond, which is for the input and the local settings. This defines the absolute path for the TPU server, and by this you must obtain the GCS path. Just have a look at it. If it is successfully done, you'll obtain the GCS path. Define the epochs. Let us define the epochs. Let's train for 5 epochs. Batch size, it is a convention to define the batch size as a multiple of 16. So strategy dot number of replicas, and we have the GCS path. So batch size, as I had conveyed before, so batch size should be 16 into the strategy number of replicas in sync, 32, 64. This is basically a multiple of 16. Now define the label TF record. To define the label TF record, what you got to do, you copy this. You copy this thing, paste it over here. Now this is the basic format, this is the basic template. Now what we need to do, we need to go over here, check in the label TF format. The label TF format is this. This is everything a repetition, very simple repetition of the steps from the previous tutorial. And paste it over here. When you paste it, just the settings correct. And I think we are good to go. If correctly done, it should read. Good. Now let us read the training dataset. To read the training dataset, all you need to do is copy this part, copy this code, paste it over here. GCS path, TF record path. We have in this particular functions, we have the GCS DS path we have obtained from here. Yep. We do not have the TF record path, we have not defined, and we have defined the batch size. All what is left is to define the TF record path. What is TF record path? It is again relative to the TPU server, not your Kaggle system. So if you go over here, copy this thing and paste it over here, everything would go wrong. Why? Because now your TPU server is here. From here you need to realize what you got to do next to reach this point. Simply Now you're here, GCS path is over here. All you got to do is slash train TF records and read. You will start reading, and if the read is successful, you will be able to obtain the number of samples. Steps per epoch, yes, we obtained the number of samples. Steps per epoch is this number of samples divided by batch size. Now we are done with the steps per epoch, we are done with everything. We can define our model. Let us begin with model creation. In model creation, it is good to have a callback, although I have not defined callbacks. Have I? No. So let it be. So all you gotta do is define the model and begin training. To define a single model, you go to the create models quickly. To define multiple models, you go to models training report. To define a single model, you go over here, copy this, paste it over here. Now define your model. To define the model, you must define it within the strategy scope. How many classes do we have? We can see in the dataset description that we have 10 classes. Model name, let us begin with EfficientNet V1. EfficientNet V1. Classification model shall be default. I do not intend to freeze. Input shape is 192 and 192. Activation is soft max. Yeah. ImageNet optimizer, let us say Adam. Yeah, good. Let it be. And everything seems to be perfect. Now let's model.fit, and we are done. We are simply done. We did this, the strategy.scope and model training. Define your train data set. Epochs equals to epochs. Batch size equals batch size. Steps per epoch equal to steps per epoch. And we don't have the validation data, so everything is good. Let us begin the model training. So you can see with simply minimal lines of code, you are able to process and a multi-class classification. You are able to perform a multi-class classification with the minimal lines of code. All under 8 minutes, 8 or 7 minutes, with my explanations and writing everything. So if you were to perform, it would be under 5 minutes. So how fast you are performing the experimentation? How fast? The initial time to get the epochs happening is to begin with the model training is a bit longer, because it transfers the data from the Kaggle to the TPU server. After that, it is extremely fast. So we are done with the multi-class classification. Multi-class classification is usually a extension of a single, or you might have performed dogs and cats, right? So let us say rename that particular project as dogs and not dogs. So if you identified that it is a dog, so which kind of dog it is? So that is multi-class classification, and it is highly used. And we are done. You can see we are done. So this is it. This is the multi-class classification. I'll upload the video, I'll post it over here. You can go to the worked examples, check the videos. And I'm conducting some events. The events will be listed over Eventbrite. You can go over the page, search for QuickML. If you search for QuickML, you'll get the event. Every month I am planning to conduct events to discuss something that I'm not discussing on the videos. So videos are extremely limited and focused on these kind of tasks. However, on the Eventbrite, I'll be discussing something which are usually discussed in a one-to-one meeting, right? So if you're interested, please go over there. That's a fundraiser. All the funds will be used for the benefit of the community. I'm making a community by giving to the community. That's what it is. So be a part of it. That's it. Let's stop it over here. Bye bye. Take care.